Good morning. Yeah, I'm on the case. So, I just wanted to speak on what's being presented to the public about the Darlie Routier case via TikTok, Fugate 1982, Danelle, Darlie's younger sister. And, people tell me, Tracy got a little upset with me, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. She can be upset. I'm not going to play into that. But my goal is to show the why it makes me upset that someone is out here speaking misinformation about this case and presenting it to the public, and the public doesn't have the right resources to make up their own mind. So quickly, I just wanted to show a quick video. Let me present this really quickly, and you guys can see what I'm talking about. You can make up your own mind about the Darlie Routier case, but when it's being presented as fact, then that's just not right for the public, and I'm here to civilly and in an adult manner show the difference. So let's take a look at what's being said to the public and what was actually said in court. Now, we'll see where we're at here. Let's get a better view. Let's get that up where we can see it.
This will be a quick one this morning. My hands are full, so I'm limited on carrying capacity. Talked to Darlie last night, and she mentioned something to me, which I'd heard once before, but I hadn't paid much attention to it before. So, strange fact for Darlie Routier case. Officer Waddell arrived at the scene.
Notice that she said strange fact. Strange fact. Let me bring it back a little bit. This is just my commentary on it. Isn't she adorable?
Limited on carrying capacity. Talked to Darlie last night, and she mentioned something to me, which I'd heard once before, but I hadn't paid much attention to it before. So, strange fact for Darlie Routier case.
She calls this a fact.
Officer Waddell arrived at the scene right after being sent by dispatch, and he was there really quickly into the 911 call. You can hear Darren on the 911 call when he arrives. However, Officer Waddell witnesses a man walking out the front door. The man tells Waddell, "My wife's inside." Waddell goes inside. You can hear Darren and Waddell in the 911 call when that happens. Who was the man that left the house? The front door may have actually been unlocked. Photos show that lock with no blood on it. Go check it out.
See, this is what makes me angry. Danelle states that Waddell witnessed a man running out. And first she says strange fact. She says that Waddell witnessed a man coming out. But first you can hear him tell Waddell, "My wife and my kids have been stabbed," and then Waddell just walks on in the house, right? That's what she wants the public to believe. That's just blatant, in my opinion. Waddell drew his pistol on Darren. This is what makes me angry. Or no, it doesn't make me angry because we know that that is not the truth. Some people, she said Darlie told me about this. I heard about this a long time ago, but so if this is what Darlie's telling her and she's telling us, where is it coming from? That absolutely is not true, according to testimony from people in the neighborhood that saw it, the whole thing.
What do you think?
Okay, this is what makes me a bit angry, right? Now, what makes me angry is when someone tells something that absolutely did not happen in the case. A Rowlett police officer did not witness a man running out of that house. Officer Waddell now works at the Plano Police Department. He's a neighborhood watch supervisor. Okay, he did not watch anybody come out of that house. She said he witnessed someone coming out of that house. And she said Darlie told her that. Darlie told her that he witnessed a man come out of the house. But the testimony from William Gorsuch, a neighbor, a witness, for her to say that Rowlett police officer witnessed a man running out of the house to people that are new to the case is enough to make me angry. What happened to Devin and Damon? But we'll go through this. 8401 Eagle Drive. Okay, that's where he lives at. Let's take a look and find out where that's at. This is 8401. He has a direct line of sight. This was not here. Even the mailbox has changed. He has a direct line of sight at what's coming down his street, right? And I already know his testimony, but I'll go through and show you. I just wanted you to see his bedroom window was right here, or this one. One of these two is his bedroom because he said he looked out his window. He had the window open. The thing that woke him up was the lights. All right. So if you look right directly out of that, you can see what's coming down Linda Vista, which my earliest video, or a video prior to this, would showed you this is the best way for the police to get in this, right? Right in front. Waddell pulls up right here. He draws his gun on Darren, who's standing right in here, and takes Darren back in the house. If you look at the inside of the house, could somebody be hiding off in this room? Could somebody be hiding off in this room? Not if she saw him going out the door. But let's go back to the testimony. Okay, he's explaining his family. Jonathan, I believe, is the boy that was going to spend the night over there, the night of the murders, and was told he couldn't. Is their son. I believe that's him. He's just going a little bit through where he lived at. Tells what he does. Tells him communications. Lived there in 1992, so he knew that neighborhood pretty good. Lived there 4 years. Almost 4 years. He knows Rowlett really well. April 86. Pointed to the map. Sitting down. Okay, you can look at it. You can stop it and look at it if you need to. I'm going right to the juice. Asked him to step down. Shows he's pointing out his house and that house, what we just saw. He's clarified exactly where he lives. (1992). He knows that neighborhood really well. So is it unusual to see a police officer coming down your street all times, day or night? No. Okay, what about the evening as far as traffic down your street? Is there a lot of traffic? No, there isn't. Our street is like the map shows here, blah, blah, blah. Talking about the traffic in the area. Okay, did you meet Darlie and Darren when you know? Yes, I did. So he knows who Darren and Darlie is. He's able to identify. We were. Talk about when they moved in. There. Yep. Sorry. Let me mute myself. He knew Devin, Damon, and Darren by sight. And Darlie. He's identifying everybody, so they're going through and making sure that he knows what he saw. Yeah, Jonathan was supposed to spend the night over there that night, and he didn't. Since they had gotten in trouble for making a mess in the steam room, I believe. You got to know Devin Dan pretty well. Talking about did he know him very well. Pointed Darlie out. Maybe one. Maybe he knew Darren had talked to him. He's talking about Terry Neal and Karen Neal.
Just hang in there. We get right to the testimony.
Recognizing the neighborhood, he's establishing that he knows his surroundings. He knows the people he's looking at. Okay, and they sit in this area. They sit, and he knew that they sit at that Baptist church. And that's where Waddell was sitting. She said he was dispatched to that call, but he was not dispatched to that call. He just heard it on the radio, which is when Mystery Maverick says that he was snapping in his cruiser. If they'd have done their research on this, they would have known that Waddell was never dispatched. He only heard it on the radio. If he was asleep, he wouldn't have heard it on the radio. He was never dispatched there. Back then, you could say Oriental family. You can't really say that. Terry Neal, Karen, and Terry. Terry died in 2007, I believe. Yeah, Mercedes and Mike. Just talking about the neighborhood. Now, Mr. Gorsuch, let me turn your attention to the morning hours of June 6, 1996 and ask you if you had to go into work that evening. Yes, I did. Okay, actually, I guess let me turn your attention to June 5th, the day before that. Did you go into work in the late evening hours? Yes, I did. I went to work at approximately 10 o'clock. Okay, and do you recall what day of the week it was? Wednesday, I believe. Okay, was it unusual for you to go to work in the late hours? It's not unusual. It's not common either. It just happens. You go went in for customer support that day. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
That's my dryer in the background.
Talking about him leaving work at 1:25. Called his wife to let her know that she was coming home. That way it doesn't scare her. "25 minutes. Nothing unusual. Regular route home. Comes to Linda Vista. Okay, looking at the larger photograph, then you would have to come down Darlock past the Lake Point Baptist Church. Is that right? That's correct. Did you see anything at the Lake Point Baptist Church when you came home? A police officer was sitting in the driveway. That was Waddell. Okay, and he was sitting right there by Darlock a little bit beyond where you were. You see the picture, blah, blah, blah. Quarter to 2. About 10 till 2. 1:45. So he comes home right before the murders. No cars out there. Just saying, he just establishing that there were no cars parked around there. Okay, now once you parked, you got out of your car, what did you do? That being that time of morning, it was fairly warm that night, fairly muggy. I stood around and kind of looked at the stars and looked at the sky. I like looking at the stars, the moon, the sky, whatever may be out at night, probably 3 or 4 minutes. Just catching a fresh breath of air and a little bit of peace for you. Yeah, he did look around. Just went in the house, being aware. So he was standing out there right about the times of this murders. They're just talking about the surroundings. He asked him several times about the vehicles. There's no vehicles parked around there. Darlie had like a green colored Nissan Pathfinder. Yep. Talking about where they park their cars. No unusual cars. He keeps pounding that in there. There's no unusual cars around. Nobody walking around.
Let me stop this for a minute.
To the left of this.
See, they go in depth about this particular event of Gorsuch coming out and looking out his window. They go into depth. They wanted to show that there were no extra weird cars around. They wanted to show that there was nobody walking around. Because if you believe what Donnell is saying, if you believe it, you would have to believe that an experienced officer who got a call, he didn't get the call, he heard the ambulance call about a stabbing. It was not dispatched. He just heard the call and went. It was a fire that was dispatched. He went right over there because he was close. I show in the video before this how soon he got there. So this is an experienced officer that hears about a stabbing. She wants us to believe that he gets out of his car and there's a man coming out of the house. He's saying, this man is telling this officer, somebody stabbed my wife and kids. She wants us to believe that that experienced officer just walked away and went in the house. She wants us to believe that. And it's not fair when the testimony says something different. It's not fair to Officer David Waddell, who's a detective now at the Plano Police Department in Texas. It's not fair to him, because that's his job. These officers put their lives on the line. Imagine if Officer Waddell had walked in there, the man said, oh my God, they just stabbed my wife and kids, and he walked in there and there really was an intruder. He walked right into where it was at. He could have been stabbed. Officer Waddell could have died. Right? He could have died. If that intruder saw that cop come in, hid behind that door, got that knife, Officer Waddell could have died. We can very safely say that. Just like people could say Darlie almost died. But they want us to believe that we have police officers that are that stupid protecting our streets. I don't think it's fair to Officer David Waddell. And I think Danelle wants this to go public. She wants to say these things publicly. I think I want to draw that attention to Officer David Waddell, whom I have spoken to over that Joe Thermoset chick. You guys remember that? When I had Waddell and we were talking about Thermoset and, you know, how crazy that person is. But if somebody's going to say that he's not doing, this is a man who hasn't done his job, that's his career. If somebody's going to say that, and and I want to make this perfectly clear. Danelle does not like to be called a liar. I want to make this perfectly clear, though. She said Darlie told her this. She said she just talked to Darlie last night, and Darlie told her this. So she's repeating a story that she's been told. Does that make you a liar? Now, if Darlie said, if Darlie told her, yeah, some man just appeared in front of me, just poof, he was there, and then he just poof, in a puff of smoke, disappeared. Would Danelle believe that? My goal is not to upset her. People know me that have been with my channel for all these years. There's a lot of them. Know that when someone comes out and says something that's not the truth about this case, that I will do video about it. I will stand up for that, because those boys aren't able to say, no, that's not what happened. They're not able to do that. Not to mention the fact that I did support her for quite a while, and I kind of feel duped, because I'm in there as a supporter and I can see the lies that they're telling. And there was a couple times I was like, that don't mean nothing. She's innocent. But then there came those times where I said, you know what? And I politely walked away from this case. Completely. Had no intention of ever just let it go. It's too much for me to see one thing being said in public and something else being said in private, and I just did not have that battle in me. I wasn't going to do it until I was criticized, hounded, and harassed for leaving Darlie's support. Can you imagine? I was out there just like I am now, except for without testimony, without medical records. I was doing videos on her being innocent. Not very many, though, because I just felt like Darren did it. But let me get back let me get back to this. This is an out and out lie that Danelle told. But again, I'll clarify. She did say, I was talking to my sister Darlie last night. So repeating something that you heard and making up a story, if you're making up a story, that's a lie. But if you're repeating something that you heard, that somebody else made that story up, the person that told you that is telling the lie. The sidewalk. Yep, the windows do. Do you recall how long it took you to get it? I came in, locked the door, turned on the alarm system, checked the other doors and windows downstairs, got a drink, put my things up for the night, and went upstairs. Probably 10 or 15 minutes. And now you're right at the time of the murders. 2 something. Okay, now, Mr. Gorsuch, was your windows up or down that evening? It was a warm evening, and my wife and I do not care for air conditioning very much, so we have our windows open most of the time. They were open that evening, yes. So it's not unusual for you two to not run the air conditioner? No, and it wasn't running. The window was open. Do you have any problem hearing noises? No. He's just dozed off. He had just dozed off. Something wake you up? Windows wide open, facing the Routier's house. The first time that I was awoken, I really don't know. I did not look at the clock. It didn't break my sleep completely. I felt something, a noise or something of some kind. He dozed off again. Okay, what woke you up that time? What woke me up that time was Darren Routier running from the front of the house, down the sidewalk, yelling that someone had stabbed my children, my kids, and my wife. That's the best recollection. No trouble hearing. He sat up in bed and looked out the window to see what the yelling was about. Just blue jeans. He was standing near the fountain. He was running near the fountain. He wasn't standing. Did you see anyone else out there? Yes, I did. Who did you see? I saw a policeman coming up over the bank as I leaned up in the bed. So what she said is that Waddell walked him in and let that intruder run out. But the whole time, Gorsuch is watching the scene. He watched everything from the time Darren went out of that house. Then Waddell pulls up. Then he walks him in the house. She said that Waddell witnessed someone run out that front door. Remember that. I saw a policeman coming up over the bank. As I leaned up in bed, I could look out the window and see a pretty good picture. There's a police car sitting a little bit ahead of where there is now. He actually shows where it was. They both came back between the house and the fountain, and then they went into the house. So this guy was looking out the window when that happened. They're looking out the window while this happened. They didn't see anybody run out of that front door. They didn't see anybody run out the front door.
Let me hold it. Let me stop.
That's a neighbor that knew them, that their kids played together, has no reason to lie. And there's no way that if Waddell walked Darren back in, as Donnell stated, that when he walked Darren back in, that's when that intruder ran out. Nope. Because they were both watching out the window, and that window was right there. Nope. You can't be telling people stuff like that. As if a Rowlett Police Department would witness someone running out of the house. The whole time Waddell was in that yard to the time he went in that house, Goresh saw him.
Gorsuch. I call him Goresh once in a while. I don't know why I do that.
Let's go down a little bit further.
William Goresh. He actually lives in Colorado now. He's 65 years old.
The next thing I saw were the police officer and Darren come back out of the house. The police officer and Darren, then the police officer basically told Darren to go find somebody else in the neighborhood and asked him if there was somebody else. Darren went to the Neal's house. He saw Darren go to the Neal's house. He was watching the whole thing. And she also says that there was a cell phone, right? She said that door could have been unlocked, but I do believe that it was testified to that the doors were checked, but the alarm wasn't turned on. I have to look at that. So the door is wide open. If you look at the pictures of where they found the cordless cell phone, it looked like a Sony cell phone. It was towards the bottom of the steps in the hallway, in between the bathroom and the steps, just laying in the hallway with the front door wide open. So if you hear Waddell talking to Darren, that thing is in the hallway. Could have been leading him right back in. You could hear. It's quiet. Those cell phones can pick up for a long distance. That's why we think you can hear it. But is this guy that live across the street there, is he lying? They were all watching. You were observing all this from the bedroom window. He sees him talk, and the Neal's testimony correspond with this. You can see a lot from there. So my question would be, he says he's looking out this window right here. This is 8401. So he's looking out this window right here. I thought it was these ones over here for the longest time, because the way that testimony reads. Now, when he says directly across the street, that's what he means, directly across the street. Some people would assume that he meant like this house. No, it was this one. It was that one, right there. And he saw it all. And that front door is not very far. If, he would have seen somebody coming this way or going that way. We can't be saying that police officers witness intruders running away. When the testimony is different, we can't do that.
I guess we can't do that. Hold on here just a moment.
Let me get this together right here. I gotta get up and stretch. But while I do that, see how that looks. Oh no, we need to make that bigger somehow.
Hey, this is the last hoodie you're ever going to need to buy.
Bearskin tactical hoodie.
Bearskin.
Bearskin hoodie. What makes it a tactical hoodie?
This is the world's only 12-pocket brushed fleece hoodie that stopped.
I really do want
Now,
one.
see,
I get chastised by a Darlie supporter about contacting places, and reaching out to places. And to this day, this officer, David Waddell, the foreman of the Rowlett Police Department, is being accused of actually witnessing an intruder run out of the house. It was said that this officer witnessed an intruder who told him, "My wife and my kids have been stabbed," and that he walked away from that person and went in that house by himself.
so I call.
That's what we're being told. That's what the public's being told right now. And I got chastised because I made a call over to the Innocence Project. Because honestly, and I spoke to Danelle about this, I don't believe she was asked. She asked me why I did that. But somebody chastised me, right? A Darlie supporter chastised me for contacting anybody about the case. And this same supporter knows damn well that Officer Waddell did not talk to someone who said, "Hey man, somebody stabbed my kids and my wife," and then walked in that house and left them. She wants everybody to believe that a decorated Plano police officer, he's in Plano now, I believe he's a detective, would literally just let an intruder run out of a house that he just got called to a stabbing to. That's what they want us to believe. It's unfortunate that things like these can be said. But this is a petition that was put out by the people that run Free Darlie. Contacting places. Let's talk about contacting places. Now, this right here is another thing that the public is expected to believe. He did not throw up in that bathroom. They're calling him a liar. But they don't like to be called liars. See, everybody lied unless they testified for Darlie. Everybody lied. Everybody else lied. Or they were under Greg Davis's spell. Look, this is all just a lie. But, and they're contacting chief of police and commission on law enforcement, but if I contact somebody, I'm showing my ass and being an asshole. And I'm done with you type shit. I know other people that called places where they saw a court case. Sometimes when people accuse you of doing stuff, they don't realize that they've done that damn stuff themselves. Calling places to cause trouble. Leave that family alone type shit. But David Waddell, let's see. That petition says that he was let go from the police department and all that. This man has a family. This man wasn't charged with perjury. This man wasn't accused of lying in court while the court was going on. But the Darlie supporters contacted places in an attempt to get this man fired. Doesn't tell much about it. Doesn't tell much about him, but that's him. He's a detective today. Let's see if we can find out a little more about him. Just little things mean a lot to me. It was said that Waddell was dispatched to the scene. Okay, your radio in your car, does it have the ability to monitor that radio channel also? Fire tones, ambulance. It's pretty quick that the fire tones went off like that. All right. The next thing you heard come on, I switched over to the fire channel. I heard them dispatch the fire department to 5801 Eagle on a stabbing. So this officer knew that there was already a stabbing there. So he would have been prepared. He wouldn't just let somebody run on past him. Police training. Somebody got hurt, so he needs to be on the lookout. Everybody in that house was a suspect. So nobody is just going to, walk on by. And did you do anything in response to hearing it on that radio? I headed that way. He was not dispatched. He just went over there because he heard it on the radio. He heard the fire department being dispatched, actually. 1.9 miles. Let's see if we can find it. So we can see that the Victory Baptist Church is right here. He would have zipped up this way. I don't know if he would have went. I don't know what route he says, but it's not far. It's like 1.8 miles tops. And he was just sitting there. Probably monitoring this traffic along this way. But his route would have been, you'd think he'd go down Chelsea over this way, but I don't know if you can get through there to Darlock. He said it was about 1.9 miles. Still the same church today. I'm glad it's going good and strong. So he would have been sitting in this parking lot here. We're going to get out and go this way. Quickly. Pretty quickly. Two or 3 minutes. No cars speeding away from that area. And he knows it's a stabbing. He hears it on the fire. The ambulance. Nothing unusual. He's the first responding officer. Nobody on foot, nobody in the car. The only person he saw was Darlie Routier. I parked on the north side of the house. Showing exactly where his car was parked. As you came up to this location, as you came up here is that where you saw the individual you now know to be Darlie Routier? He was coming out the front door. Same thing that Gorsuch says. The neighbor who lived directly across the street. Same description as Gorsuch gave. Did you have your gun drawn? Yes, I did. See, he was prepared because he heard it was a stabbing. So somebody violent was in that house. All right, and why did you have your gun drawn? I didn't know if he was a suspect. I didn't know who he was. And you know you had a stabbing call. What did you do as you came up here and saw this individual running out of the house? I hollered at him to stop. Then I walked over and met him in front of the fountain here. Same thing the neighbor says. I followed him inside the house. So if Danelle's saying on her TikTok that Officer Waddell witnessed this guy come out of the house, they just let him go, and that guy talked to him. The guy said, a woman has stabbed, my kids have been stabbed. But he witnessed Darren walk back into the house. All right? So that would mean if an intruder went out the front door, as Danelle stated, that means Darren would have seen him. They're saying that this police officer lies on the stand. He did a homicide a couple months before that. Been an officer for 4.5 years. Took classes in crime scenes. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Alexa, play Icon for Hire Off with Her Head. Alexa, volume all the way up. So you can see that I just showed that there was a discrepancy in the information that's being passed along on TikTok. Fugate 1982. Darlie Routier's baby sister. She calls herself a baby sister. That's cool. She passes along this story that was directly told to her by Darlie last night, apparently, unless that's an older video. But at any rate, it's not the truth. It just absolutely isn't the truth, according to two different witnesses. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to upset her. I have no ill will for her. I really do hope that they could prove that she's innocent. That's their goal. But you're not going to you can't do it this way. And if you want to come public, I'll take the shots. I'll take the licks. If you want to come public about these babies being, murdered like they were, and stand up for the person that's accused and convicted of it, you have to go hard or stay home. And I mean that with the most respectful possible way that I can. That's what I'm here for. You can see my rumbles too. Same name. Piece of chicken grease, y'all.